All right, let's jump right in. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Barefoot Investor, second edition, by Scott Pape.
Okay.
You know, this book really struck me, like, right off the bat. Uh, it's just so down to earth about money, you know?
Yeah.
Even the dedication is like a breath of fresh air. Just
Yeah.
to family, that's it. No, like bragging about yachts or mansions.
Yeah. Right.
Which I think really sets the tone for the whole thing. So our mission today is to really break down Pape's 5 key steps to financial freedom,
Okay.
make sure we understand them inside and out, and most importantly, can actually use them in our own lives.
And what's really interesting is that Pape doesn't just jump right into like complex investment strategies
Yeah.
or budgeting spreadsheets,
Yeah.
He starts by really exploring the psychology of money.
Okay.
Like how our mindset can actually help us or sabotage us
Yeah.
on that path to financial freedom.
That was one of my favorite parts, for sure. The way he compares first impressions to a job interview.
Yeah.
We're all trying to project this image of success, right? Through the clothes we wear, the car we drive, you name it. But behind that facade, a lot of people are really struggling just to keep up,
It's true.
living paycheck to paycheck, maybe even racking up debt to maintain that image.
Yeah, it's like that friend who always insists on picking up the tab, but they're probably secretly struggling.
Exactly. Like, have you ever felt that pressure to keep up appearances, even if it meant, stretching your budget a little too thin?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And Pape even coined a term for that. It's income rich, asset poor.
Okay.
You might be earning a good income, but if you're not building wealth through assets like property or investments, you're not truly financially free.
Right.
He gives that example of a millionaire next door,
Oh, yeah.
driving a modest car, living in a modest home.
This doesn't necessarily look wealthy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They might not fit that stereotype, but their focus is on building real, lasting wealth.
It's funny, that reminds me of that book, The Millionaire Next Door, the actual book.
Oh.
It really supports Pape's idea.
Yeah.
They found that people who achieve true financial independence often don't fit that flashy image of wealth.
It's about building that solid foundation.
Exactly. Yeah, not just flashing the cash.
And Pape argues that this desire to project wealth, well, it's often fueled by advertising.
Oh, for sure.
He even quotes Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
Ooh, I love Fight Club.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need,
It's so true. We get caught up in this cycle of always wanting more, but does it actually lead to happiness? Like real fulfillment?
That's the question.
I don't know. Pape talks about his travels too,
Right.
particularly to Southeast Asia, and how that really opened his eyes.
Exposed him to all sorts of different cultures.
Yeah, different cultures and their relationships with money. And he saw that happiness wasn't tied to material possessions.
It's really about perspective.
It is. He even tells this one story about meeting a family in Vietnam. And they had very little in terms of material things, but they were so incredibly generous,
Yeah.
welcoming. And it really shifted his whole perspective on what true wealth means.
That's such a powerful point. And it really highlights how our values around money are often shaped by, by our culture, our upbringing.
Totally.
And Pape's travels, they helped him break free from those kind of societal expectations and define wealth on his own terms.
So what does all this mean for us, for the average person?
Well, Pape's central message is this. Money is a tool, that's all.
Oh.
It's not inherently good or bad. It's all about how we use it.
I see.
True wealth lies in having the freedom to make choices that align with our values and goals.
Okay, so it's not about depriving ourselves.
No.
Or living like hermits or something.
Not at all. It's about being intentional with our money, understanding that every dollar we spend is a vote for the kind of life we want to live.
So that brings us to his Barefoot plan, right?
Right.
And this is designed to be different from traditional financial advice, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not about following a rigid set of rules.
Yeah.
It's about creating a personalized roadmap that aligns with your individual goals.
And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
He's really emphasizing that, focusing on what you want to achieve with your money.
Right.
That's key to staying motivated.
And on track.
Yeah. And he doesn't just focus on those long-term goals,
No.
like retirement or buying a house.
Right.
He encourages us to set short-term goals, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's a weekend getaway or a new gadget,
Paying off a small debt.
anything that keeps us moving forward.
And I love how he uses that analogy of a Sunday session budget.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know how you tend to be more mindful of your cash when you're out with friends on a Sunday afternoon?
Right, right.
Limited amount. Don't want to blow it all at once.
I think that's a great analogy.
It is. It's about treating our money as if we're on that Sunday session,
Yeah.
allocating it to our goals
Hmm.
and avoiding those impulse splurges.
It's like giving ourselves an allowance almost.
Yeah,
Which can be surprisingly helpful.
it is. He gives that great example in the book about financing a trip to Thailand
Oh, right, right.
by breaking down the cost and saving weekly.
Makes it feel so much more attainable.
Exactly. It's all about breaking it down into manageable steps.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about those 5 steps.
Okay.
Pape's 5 barefoot steps to financial freedom. Do you want to walk us through them quickly before we dive deeper?
Absolutely. So the first step is keep it real.
Okay.
It's all about understanding your current financial situation, like really laying a solid foundation for the rest of the journey.
Gotta know where you're starting from, right?
Exactly. Then we have look out for number 1.
Okay.
And don't worry, it's not about becoming selfish or anything. It's about prioritizing your own financial well-being so you can better help others.
It's like they say on the airplane, put your own oxygen mask on first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then comes repo your repayments.
Yeah.
That's tackling those debts head on.
The dreaded debt.
Then we get to the exciting part, work your mojo.
Now we're talking.
This is where we learn how to put our money to work for us through investing.
Yeah, make that money work.
And finally, we have a backup plan. It's about protecting ourselves and our loved ones from the unexpected, with things like insurance and emergency funds.
Okay, so 5 clear steps to guide us towards financial freedom. But before we jump into each one, I think it's important to talk about a huge factor that can impact our financial well-being.
Okay, what's that?
Inflation.
Inflation.
Yeah.
The silent wealth killer.
It is. Pape uses a clever example to illustrate its impact.
What's that?
The price of a beer.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those stories about 20-cent beers? Well, those days are long gone, my friend.
Long gone.
Inflation erodes our purchasing power over time,
It does.
meaning we need more dollars to buy the same things.
It's like that feeling when you realize your favorite coffee just went up in price again.
Yeah,
Those little increases might not seem like much, but they add up.
they do. And if our income isn't keeping pace with inflation, we're actually losing ground financially.
Exactly. And that's why Pape stresses the need to outpace inflation
Okay.
by investing in assets that have the potential to grow faster than the rate of inflation.
Got it.
It's not just about saving money.
Right.
It's about making sure our money is working hard for us and growing at a rate that keeps up with the rising cost of living.
So we got to be proactive and strategic with our money.
Exactly.
Not just let it sit there and lose value over time.
And that's what we're going to explore in detail as we delve into each of Pape's 5 steps. It's about taking control of our finances and building a future where money is no longer a source of stress, but a tool for creating the life we want.
All right, so you ready to dive into step 1? Keep it real.
Let's do it. So keep it real. It's a great place to start, It forces us to really confront our financial reality, no matter how uncomfortable that might be.
I think that's what makes Pape's approach so refreshing.
Yeah.
He doesn't sugarcoat anything
Mhm.
or try to sell us on those get-rich-quick schemes.
Right.
It's about honesty and taking
Mhm.
responsibility for our own financial situation.
Yeah. And it's about breaking free from what Pape calls barefoot bondage, being trapped by debt and living paycheck to paycheck, often while, trying to project this image of wealth that we can't actually afford.
It's like that woman Pape talks about who is driving a luxury car,
Yeah.
but living in this tiny rundown apartment. She was prioritizing appearances over financial stability.
Exactly. And that ties back into Pape's concept of first impressions being like a job interview. We put on a show, awfully with material possessions just to impress others. But true financial freedom comes from building a solid foundation. It doesn't come from those flashy displays of wealth.
It really makes me think about those keeping up with the Joneses situations.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you ever felt that pressure
Yeah.
to buy something you couldn't really afford just to fit in or impress someone?
Oh, I think we've all been there at some point.
Yeah.
But Pape's advice is to question those societal expectations and to really focus on what truly matters to us. It's about defining our own version of wealth, not letting others dictate it for us.
So how do we actually start keeping it real? Like, where do we begin?
Well, Pape recommends taking a hard look at our spending habits. He suggests tracking our expenses for a month to see where our money is actually going. It can be really eye-opening to see how much we spend on things like takeout, coffee, or subscription services that we don't even use that much.
That's so true.
Huh.
I tried tracking my expenses once, and I was shocked at how much I was spending on those little impulse purchases.
It's those little things.
It is, yeah. They really add up.
They do. But once we have a clear picture of our spending, we can start making more conscious choices about where to cut back and where to allocate more money.
And this is where Pape's advice on budgeting comes in, right?
Exactly. But instead of focusing on that Sunday session analogy we discussed earlier,
Okay.
let's actually dive into some of Pape's specific budgeting tips. Okay, so he recommends creating a detailed budget that outlines all of our income and expenses. It gives us a clear roadmap, right,
Yeah.
for managing our money, and it ensures that we're allocating enough to cover our essential needs, our savings goals, and even, some guilt-free spending.
I like that he emphasizes guilt-free spending. It's not about depriving ourselves. It's about making sure we're enjoying life along the way.
Absolutely. Pape's philosophy is all about balance. It's about being responsible with our money while still allowing ourselves to enjoy the things that bring us joy.
Okay, so to recap, keep it real is about being honest with ourselves,
Right.
about our financial situation,
Uh-huh.
tracking our spending, and then creating a realistic budget that aligns with our values and goals.
You got it. It's about laying that solid foundation for the rest of our financial journey.
Which brings us to step 2. Look out for number 1. Now, this sounds a bit selfish at first glance.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not about becoming self-centered or, ignoring the needs of others. It's about recognizing that we need to prioritize our own financial well-being first
Yeah.
before we can truly help others.
Okay.
It's like that oxygen mask analogy on an airplane. You have to put on your own mask first
Right.
before you can assist others.
Makes sense.
It does. And Pape argues that one of the best ways to look out for ourselves financially is to set up a system that automates our savings and bill payments. He recommends setting up multiple bank accounts, each with a specific purpose.
Oh, I remember this. This is the Blow, Mojo, and Smile accounts, right?
Yes, you got it. So the Blow account is for everyday expenses. Groceries, transportation, bills. We allocate a specific amount of money to this account each week or month, and that's it. That's all we have to spend.
It's like giving ourselves an allowance, which can be surprisingly helpful for curbing those impulse purchases.
It really can.
Yeah.
Then we have the Mojo account. This is where the magic happens.
Yeah, the fun one.
It is. This is our long-term savings and investment account.
Okay.
It's where we set aside money for our big goals like retirement, buying a house, or even that dream vacation.
And the idea is to automate those transfers to this account, right?
Yes, so that we're consistently saving without even having to think about it.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. Pape recommends setting up an automatic transfer on payday
Okay.
so that a portion of our income goes directly into our Mojo account before we even have a chance to spend it.
Love it.
And finally, we have the Smile account.
Yeah.
This is for guilt-free spending on things that bring us joy, whether it's a weekend getaway, a new gadget, or a nice dinner out.
I love this idea because it takes the guilt out of spending. We know we've already taken care of our essential needs and our savings goals, so we can enjoy spending money from this account without feeling stressed or guilty.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between being responsible and enjoying life.
Okay, so just to sum up, look out for number 1. It's about setting up a system that automates our savings and bill payments.
Yes.
Creating separate accounts for different purposes.
Yeah.
And then allowing ourselves some guilt-free spending.
You got it. It's about taking control of our finances and putting ourselves in the best possible position to achieve our goals.
Now, we can't talk about financial freedom without addressing the elephant in the room.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Debt.
Which brings us to step 3. Repo your repayments.
Dun 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 dun.
Pape calls debt barefoot bondage because, it can truly hold us back from achieving our financial goals.
He's not saying that all debt is bad, though, right?
Right.
He makes a distinction between, good debt and bad debt.
Exactly. So good debt is debt that is used to buy something that will increase in value over time, like an investment property. Bad debt is debt that's used to buy something that decreases in value over time, like a new car.
So it's not about avoiding debt altogether.
Yeah.
It's about being strategic
Right.
and understanding the implications of different types of debt.
Exactly. And the first step to repoing our repayments is to get a clear picture of our current debt situation. So Pape recommends listing out All of our debts, credit cards, personal loans, student loans, any other outstanding balances.
It can be daunting to face those numbers, but it's the first step towards taking control.
It is. Once we have a clear picture of our debts, we can start prioritizing them and developing a plan to pay them off. PAPE recommends focusing on the debt with the highest interest rate first,
Okay.
as this will save us the most money in the long run.
He also talks about the snowball method, where you focus on paying off the smallest debt first, regardless of the interest rate.
Yes,
This can provide a psychological boost. It can help us build momentum.
exactly. It's about finding a strategy that works for us in our individual circumstances. And it's about being persistent and consistent with our repayments.
Pabe also emphasizes the importance of negotiating with creditors.
Yes.
We might be able to lower our interest rates
Yeah, right.
or work out a more manageable repayment plan.
It's always worth a try. The worst they can say is no. And even a small reduction in our interest rate can save us a significant amount of money over time.
That's a good point. So Repo Your Repayments is about facing our debts head on, developing a plan to pay them off, and potentially negotiating with creditors to improve our terms.
Exactly. It's about breaking free from barefoot bondage
Yeah.
and reclaiming control of our finances.
And once we've tackled our debts, we can start focusing on building wealth, right?
Which brings us to step 4.
The fun part.
Work your mojo.
Yes. This is where things start to get exciting.
It is. This is where we learn how to put our money to work for us through investing.
Right.
Right. And Pape makes investing accessible to everyone, even if we don't have a finance degree or a lot of money to invest.
I love how he uses that analogy of a stock jock,
Oh, yeah.
someone who's fit and healthy in the world of finance.
Yeah.
It takes the intimidation factor out of investing. It makes it feel much more achievable.
It does. And he emphasizes that investing isn't about getting rich quick
No?
or gambling on the stock market. It's about building long-term wealth and securing our financial future.
And this is where that concept of inflation comes back into play, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about the need to outpace inflation? Well, investing is one of the best ways to do that.
Okay.
By investing in assets like shares and property, we have the potential to earn returns that outpace the rate of inflation, ensuring that our money is growing faster than the cost of living.
And Pape provides guidance on how to choose investments that align with our risk tolerance
Yes.
and our financial goals.
Yes. And he recommends diversifying our portfolio,
Right.
which means investing in a range of different assets to spread the risk.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. He's a big advocate for investing in index funds,
Yeah?
which are a type of mutual fund that tracks a specific market index, like the S&P 500. They offer a simple and low-cost way to diversify our investments and gain exposure to a wide range of companies.
He also talks about the importance of property investment,
Yeah.
highlighting how it can provide both capital growth and rental income.
It can. And he stresses that investing is a long-term game. It's about riding out the ups and downs of the market and staying focused on our goals.
I think that's an important point. We often hear stories about people making, quick fortunes in the stock market.
Right.
But the reality is that investing is about patience
Mm-hmm.
and consistency.
Exactly. It's about making regular contributions to our investments over time and letting the power of compounding work its magic.
So to sum up, Work Your Mojo is about educating ourselves about investing, choosing investments that align with our goals, diversifying our portfolio,
Yeah.
and taking a long-term approach.
Exactly. It's about putting our money to work for us and creating a future where we have financial freedom and the ability to make choices without being limited by money.
Now we've covered 4 of Pape's 5 steps. What stands out to you the most so far? What's resonated with you personally?
For me, it's the emphasis on mindset. Pape doesn't just give us a set of financial rules to follow.
Right.
He challenges us to think differently about money
Yeah.
and our relationship with it.
I agree. I think it's about shifting our perspective from seeing money as a source of stress to seeing it as a tool
Yeah.
for creating the life we want. It's a real mindset shift. But, we've covered a lot, right? Getting real with our finances, setting up those smart systems, even getting into investing. But life has a way of, throwing us curveballs.
Right, and that's where Pape's 5th and final step comes in. It's so crucial.
Yeah.
Have a backup plan. It's all about protecting ourselves and our loved ones from those unexpected events, the ones that can derail even the most carefully laid plans.
And this is where we have to talk about the less glamorous side of personal finance.
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
I know. Not the most exciting topic,
Yeah.
but it's so essential, for peace of mind.
Think of it as a safety net. We might not like to dwell on accidents or illnesses or other things we can't foresee, but they happen. And when they do, those financial consequences, they can be devastating.
So Babe breaks down the different types of insurance we should consider, right?
He does.
Like car insurance, house and contents insurance,
Yeah.
health insurance, income protection.
Yeah, he stresses that having the right coverage, well, it can protect us from financial ruin if there's an emergency. Yeah, imagine having a serious illness or accident, being unable to work for a long time.
Scary to think about.
It is. But income protection insurance, that can replace at least a portion of your income. So you can focus on recovering,
Yeah.
without that added stress of financial hardship on top of everything else.
Yeah, so it's about having that safety net in place
It is.
to help us get through those tough times
Yeah.
without, completely derailing our financial progress.
Exactly. And Pape gives us some really good guidance on how to choose the right insurance policies for our
Hey.
specific needs,
Yeah.
our circumstances. It's always worth shopping around, comparing different providers just to make sure you're getting the best value.
And he also talks about the importance of having an emergency fund too, right?
He does.
This is separate from the Mojo account.
Yes, separate.
And it's specifically for those unexpected expenses, like car repairs, medical bills, even job loss.
Right. Having a few months worth of living expenses saved up in an account that's easy to get to, that can really help if there's a financial shock. It prevents us from having to rely on those high-interest credit cards or loans if something happens.
And he even suggests, what's it called? The shoebox method.
Yes,
Yeah.
the shoebox method for organizing our important financial documents. It's simple, but it works. It's a way to keep track of those insurance policies, bank statements, investment records, all that essential paperwork.
Right.
Having a system like that, it can save so much time and stress when you really need to find something.
So we've made it. We've walked through all 5 steps of Pape's Barefoot plan.
We have.
Keep it real. Look out for number 1, repo your repayments, work your mojo, and have a backup plan.
That's quite a journey.
It is. It's a comprehensive roadmap to financial freedom, really, designed to empower us to make smarter choices with our money.
And what I find so helpful is that Pape doesn't just focus on the technical side of things.
Right.
He really gets into the psychological barriers too, the things that often hold us back.
It's true. He acknowledges that dealing with money, it can be stressful, even emotionally charged. And he encourages us to develop a healthier relationship with money, one that's based on awareness, intentionality, and feeling empowered.
It's about recognizing that money is simply a tool, right?
It is, yeah.
Not good or bad in itself.
It's all about how we use it.
Exactly. And by following Pape's 5 steps, we can learn to use money as that tool to create the life we want, a life filled with freedom, security, and even joy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. Think about your own financial goals. What are you working towards? Which of those 5 steps really speaks to you right now? What feels most relevant?
And remember, financial freedom is a journey. It's not a destination.
It's not a race.
It's not. It's about making those small, consistent changes over time, the kind that really add up in the end. So start with one step, then another, and before you know, you'll be well on your way to achieving those financial dreams.
Until next time, happy investing.
Yeah.
And may your financial journey be filled with Barefoot confidence and joy.